Captain Doyen Kim stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon's Promise, staring at the massive structure ahead. The Galactic Council headquarters floated in space like a silver wheel, spinning slowly around a neutron star. The light from the star made everything look blue and strange. Doyen had seen many amazing things in his 20 years of space travel, but nothing like this. "We're receiving their docking instructions," said Lieutenant Samin Han from her station. She was young but sharp, always 3 steps ahead of any danger. Doyen trusted her completely. Dr. Haewon Park walked up beside Doyen. She carried her data tablet and looked worried. "I've been studying their transmissions. They don't sound friendly." "They invited us here," Doyen said. "That's something." "They invited us after watching Earth for 200 years, Haewon replied quietly. Why wait so long? Doyen had wondered the same thing. Humanity had developed faster than light travel 5 years ago. Within months, the Galactic Council had made contact. They said they wanted to meet Earth's leaders. They said they wanted peace and cooperation. But their messages always felt cold, like they were doing humanity a favor just by talking to them. The ship docked smoothly. Doyen gathered his delegation of 47 people. Scientists, diplomats, soldiers, and engineers. The best humanity had to offer. They wore formal uniforms, dark blue with Earth's symbol on the chest, a planet surrounded by stars. "Remember," Doyen told them, "we represent all of humanity today. Stay calm, be respectful, but never bow." The airlock opened. The delegation stepped into a massive hall. The ceiling stretched up so high that Doyen couldn't see the top. Thousands of aliens filled the space. Some had scales, some had fur, some looked like floating clouds of gas. Doyen recognized a few species from the files Earth had received. Most were completely unknown. An alien approached them. It stood 3 meters tall with dark red skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were black and showed no emotion.
"I am Velcros, High Arbiter of the Galactic Council."
"You are the humans, it wasn't a question." Doyen stepped forward and bowed his head slightly. Not a bow of submission, just acknowledgement. "I am Captain Doyen Kim. I speak for Earth and all her people. We thank you for this meeting." Velcros made a sound like grinding metal. Doyen realized it was laughing. "Your gratitude is unnecessary. Follow me." The council chamber was enormous. Seats rose in circles, going up and up until they disappeared into shadow. Thousands of aliens sat watching. In the center was a small platform. Velcros pointed at it. "Stand there. The council will hear your request." Doyen walked to the platform with Haewon and Ambassador Hunwoo Lee, the senior diplomat. The others stayed at the edge of the chamber. Selman positioned herself where she could watch everything. "Humans," Velcros's voice boomed through the chamber. "You have developed space travel. You have found our borders. You wish to join the Galactic Council. Is this correct?" "Yes," Doyen said. His voice was steady. "Earth wishes to establish diplomatic relations. We want to trade technology and knowledge. We want to be part of the galactic community." Murmurs filled the chamber. Doyen heard the word primitive repeated in several languages. His translator implant caught them all. Velcros raised one of his 4 hands. Silence fell instantly. "The council has observed your species. You are violent. You are among yourselves. Your planet is scarred by nuclear weapons and environmental destruction. Why should we allow such a species into our civilization?" Haewon stepped forward before Doyen could answer. "We don't deny our past. Humans have made mistakes, but we've learned from them. We've united our planet. We've cleaned our oceans and air. We've ended war among ourselves. We're ready to move forward. United?" Another alien spoke. This one looked like a giant insect with crystal wings. "You unified only 30 years ago. We have civilizations here that have known peace for 50,000 years. You are children playing with dangerous toys." Doyen felt anger rising but pushed it down. "Then help us grow. Share your wisdom. Isn't that what this council is for? To bring species together?" Velcros leaned forward, his black eyes fixed on Doyen. "There is a price for membership. You must prove you are no threat to us. You will surrender 40% of your military fleet. You will allow council observers on Earth. You will submit your technology for inspection. You will accept these terms or you will be quarantined. Your ships will not be allowed beyond your own solar system." The chamber erupted in sounds of agreement. Doyen heard the word reasonable over and over. He looked at Hyunwoo, who shook his head slightly. "Those terms are unacceptable," Doyen said firmly. "No sovereign nation would agree to such demands. We came here in peace, not surrender." Velcro stood. His full height was terrifying. You dare refuse the council? You who have barely left your own planet? You whose entire species could be erased with a single order? Are you threatening us? Doyen asked. His hand moved closer to his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless here. I am telling you reality, Velcro said. The council maintains order in this galaxy. Order requires submission from the lesser species. You will submit or you will be isolated forever. These are your only choices. Then I need to contact my government, Doyen said. Give us time to discuss this with Earth. No, Velcro's voice was final. You will decide now. The council does not wait for primitive species to debate. Doyen looked at his delegation. He saw fear on some faces, anger on others. Somin's hand was on her weapon. Haywon was recording everything on her tablet. Hyunwoo looked pale but determined. Back on Earth, President Jiwoo Kang was watching this through a live transmission. So were 8 billion other humans. Doyen knew this. He knew that whatever he said next would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy. Captain Kim, Velcro said slowly, what is your answer? Doyen thought about Earth. He thought about the cities and oceans, the forests and mountains. He thought about children playing in parks and old people watching sunsets. He thought about everything humanity had built and survived. Our answer is no, Doyen said clearly. We will not surrender our sovereignty. We will not submit to threats. If the Council wants peace with Earth, it will be peace between equals. Nothing less. The chamber exploded with angry sounds. Aliens screamed in 100 languages. Velcros raised all 4 arms. Then you have chosen, he said. Guards, seize them. Before anyone could move, armored aliens poured into the chamber. They surrounded Doyen's delegation. Somin drew her weapon, but Doyen shouted, stand down. Everyone stand down. The guards grabbed them roughly. Doyen felt metal clamps close around his wrists. He saw Haywon being dragged away. Hyunwoo was shouting into his communicator, trying to reach their ship. Velcros walked up to Doyen until they were face to face. You mistake our offer for negotiation. It was not. You will learn what happens to species who defy the Council. You will learn and your planet will watch. Doyen was dragged from the chamber. The last thing he saw was the thousands of aliens watching. Not one of them looked concerned. Not one of them objected. Somewhere in space, hidden in shadow, Lieutenant Sumin's message pod launched toward Earth. It carried one word: trapped. The holding cells were small and dark. Doyen sat on the cold floor with his delegation around him. They had been here for 6 hours. No food, no water, no explanation. Guards stood outside, silent and still. They're going to kill us, whispered Ambassador Hyunwoo. He sat against the wall, his formal uniform torn. I've studied galactic law. There is no law. The Council is absolute. We still have rights, Dr. Haywon said, but her voice shook. We're diplomats. Even they must respect that. Doyen said nothing. He knew Hyunwoo was right. He had seen it in Velcros' eyes. They had already decided humanity's fate. The cell door opened. Light flooded in. Guards pulled Doyen to his feet. The Council will see you now. They were dragged through corridors filled with aliens. All of them stopped to watch. Some pointed. Some made sounds like laughter. Doyen kept his head up. He would not give them the satisfaction of seeing him afraid. The Council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled. Doyen's delegation was forced onto the central platform. He counted his people, 47, all still alive. That was something. Velcro stood at the high podium. Humans, you have been brought before this council to answer for your crimes. What crimes? Doyen shouted. We came here in peace. You threatened the galactic order, Velcro said calmly. You refused reasonable terms. You showed aggression toward council members. These are crimes punishable by death. The chamber erupted in approval. Thousands of voices calling for human blood. Doyen felt sick. This wasn't a trial. It was a show. You call this justice? Haywon screamed. You decide our guilt before we can defend ourselves. The council has observed your species for 2 centuries, another alien said. This one looked like a floating brain inside a glass sphere. We have seen your wars, your genocides, your destruction of your own planet. We know what you are. Then you know we survived all of that, Doyen said. You know we grew past it. We made peace. Isn't that what matters? Peace born from exhaustion is not true peace, Velcro said. You are a dangerous species. Today we show the galaxy what happens to dangerous species who refuse to submit. Doyen looked around desperately. In the upper seats he saw some aliens who looked uncomfortable. A few were even standing to leave, but most watched with cold satisfaction. They had seen this before. They would see it again. "I demand to speak to Earth," Doyen said. "Let President Kang address this council." "Your president watches now," Velcro said. He pointed to a large screen. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue, hanging in space. Let her see what her refusal has earned. On Earth, in the capital city, President Ji-Woo Kang sat in the command center surrounded by military leaders. Admiral Minho Choi stood beside her, his face red with rage. On screens around them, they watched the trial. "Madam President," Minho said quietly, "give the order. Let me take the fleet and get them out." "We're 3 galaxies away," Ji-Woo said. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "By the time we arrive, it will be over." "Then let me prepare for war," Minho said. "Because that's what's coming." Ji-Woo said nothing. She just watched the screen. Back in the council chamber, Velcros raised all 4 arms. "The council will vote. Death for the humans or mercy? All in favor of death?" Lights appeared throughout the chamber. Doyen counted them. 700, 800. The number kept rising. All in favor of mercy? Fewer lights. Much fewer. Doyen counted 116. "The council has spoken," Velcro said. "The sentence is death, to be carried out immediately, broadcast to all member worlds. Let this be a lesson." Guards grabbed Doyen and his people. They were forced to kneel in a line across the platform. Haewon was crying. Yunwoo was praying in Korean. Lieutenant Soman looked at Doyen and nodded once. She was ready. They all were. Doyen thought about Earth. He thought about his son. Doyen, the younger, 19 years old and probably watching this right now. He thought about his wife, dead for 5 years from cancer. At least she didn't have to see this. "Captain Kim," Velcro said, "do you have final words?" Doyen stood up. Guards tried to push him down, but he fought them off. He looked directly at the screen showing Earth. "You think you're showing strength?" Doyen said. His voice carried through the chamber. "You think you're teaching us fear. But you're wrong. You're not showing us your strength. You're showing us your weakness. You're terrified of us, terrified of what we might become, so you kill us while we're still small. That's not strength. That's cowardice." He turned to face Velcros. "You've made a mistake today. You've shown humanity exactly what you are. Not peacekeepers, not wise elders, just bullies with big guns. And humanity doesn't forgive bullies." Velcros's face twisted with rage. "Kill them. Kill them now!" The guards raised their weapons. Energy hummed through the air. Doyen closed his eyes. He thought of home. The weapons fired. 47 bodies turned to ash in seconds. The platform was empty except for dust. The council chamber was silent. Then the cheering began. On Earth, 8 billion people watched their envoy die. President Ji-Woo Kang stood slowly. Her face showed no emotion. Around her, every military leader waited. "Admiral Choi," she said quietly. "Yes, Madam President. Activate Protocol Righteous Fury. Call back every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have." "And our response?" Minho asked. Ji-Woo looked at the screen. At the aliens celebrating, at the empty platform where Doyen had stood. "Total," she said. "Our response is total." Across Earth, alarms began to sound. Military bases went to full alert. Orbital shipyards started working at maximum capacity. Hidden facilities deep underground opened their doors. Weapons that humanity had built in secret, weapons they prayed they would never need, were activated. In the council chamber, Velcros addressed the gathered species. "Let this be known across the galaxy. The council will not tolerate defiance. The humans chose their fate. Now they will live with the consequences, or rather they will not live at all." He didn't know that Lieutenant Soman Han had escaped. She had hidden in a maintenance shaft during the arrest. She had watched everything, and she had recorded it all. Now she was flying through space in a damaged shuttle, racing toward human territory. She had a message to deliver, a message that would change everything. On the edge of council space, a human monitoring station picked up her signal. The officer on duty nearly fell from his chair when he heard Soman's voice. "This is Lieutenant Soman Han to any human forces. The delegation is dead. Captain Kim is dead. The council executed them all. They murdered them in cold blood. I have proof. I'm coming home. Tell the president. Tell everyone. Tell them what these monsters did." The message was transmitted to Earth within minutes. President Ji-Woo heard it and closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were hard as steel. How long until the fleet is ready? She asked. 48 hours, Minho said. We've been preparing since first contact. Just in case. Make it 24, Jiwoo said. I want every ship. I want the weapons Dr. Yunji has been developing. I want everything. What are your orders for the council? Minho asked. Jiwoo walked to the window. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Doyen's ashes floated in space. Somewhere out there, aliens were celebrating his murder. Find them, she said. Find every council world. Every ship. Every station. And then, Admiral Choi, you erase them all. 7 days after the execution, the Valthrex homeworld enjoyed a beautiful morning. The red sun rose over crystal cities. Billions of Valthrex went about their daily lives. They had watched the human execution with satisfaction. Another primitive species put in its place. Another threat eliminated. Then the sky turned black. 40,000 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel simultaneously. They appeared in perfect formation, surrounding the entire planet. The Valthrex defense fleet scrambled to respond. 12,000 ships, the pride of their military, launched toward the humans. Admiral Minho Choi stood on the bridge of the ESS Vengeance. Around him, holographic displays showed every enemy ship, every weapon, every possible threat. His crew worked in silence, their faces cold and focused. Open a channel, Minho said. All frequencies. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, sir. Minho's voice broadcast to every Valthrex ship, every station, every home on the planet below. This is Admiral Minho Choi of the Earth Space Forces. 7 days ago, you executed our envoy. You murdered 47 diplomats. You broadcast their deaths as entertainment. You made a mistake. You thought we would accept this. You were wrong. He paused. Let the words sink in. We gave you Doyen Kim. We sent him in peace. You sent back ashes. So now we send you fire. Surrender now or burn. You have 60 seconds. On the Valthrex command ship, the fleet admiral laughed. 60 seconds? These primitives dare threaten us? Open fire, destroy them all! The Valthrex fleet attacked. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between them. But they never reached the human ships. A shimmering barrier appeared, absorbing every shot. The Valthrex admiral stopped laughing. What is that? He screamed. Minho checked his timer. 60 seconds are up. Fleet Commander Junho, you may begin. Fleet Commander Junho Nam commanded the vanguard from his ship, the ESS Hammer of Justice. He was young for such a position, only 39, but he was the best tactical mind humanity had ever produced. He saw patterns in chaos. He saw victory where others saw impossible odds. All ships, Junho said calmly. Execute attack pattern Omega-7. The human fleet moved as one. They didn't charge forward like the Valthrex expected. Instead, they shifted into a sphere formation, completely surrounding the enemy. Then they released the first weapon, singularity torpedoes. Each torpedo contained a miniature black hole, held in stasis until impact. When they hit Valthrex ships, the stasis failed. Tiny black holes formed, lasting only seconds, but that was enough. They pulled in everything nearby, ships, debris, other ships trying to escape. Within minutes, the Valthrex fleet was in chaos. They're breaking formation, Junho's tactical officer reported, trying to scatter. Don't let them, Junho said. Release the swarms. Hatches opened on the human ships. Millions of tiny objects poured out, each one smaller than a grain of sand. Nanite swarms. Dr. Yunji Shin had spent 5 years developing them. Each nanite could consume metal and reproduce. When they touched a Valthrex ship, they spread like fire, eating through hull plating, destroying engines, disabling weapons. The Valthrex admiral watched his fleet dissolve. Ships went dark one by one, hundreds, then thousands. His crew was screaming. Nothing they did worked. Every weapon they fired was useless. Retreat, he ordered. All ships jump to light speed. Get out of here. But when his ships tried to jump, nothing happened. They were trapped, Minho smiled grimly. They're trying to run. Reality anchors are holding, reported his science officer. They can't escape. Reality anchors. Another of Dr. Yunji's creations. They created a field that prevented faster-than-light travel. Once caught in the field, there was no escape. The Valthrex fleet was a box with walls closing in. 4 hours after the battle began, it was over. 12,000 Valthrex ships reduced to wreckage. Not a single human ship damaged. Minho looked at the planet below. Target their military bases, their shipyards, their weapon factories. Nothing else. We're not murderers like they are. Yes, sir, the weapons officer said quietly. Beams of light fell from orbit. Precise. Surgical. Every military target on the planet was destroyed in minutes. The civilian cities were untouched. Minho had given strict orders. Kill the military. Spare the civilians. Humanity would not become the monsters. But in space, there was no mercy for the Council's fleets. Across 3 galaxies, similar battles raged. The Council had expected a desperate attack on their headquarters. Maybe a suicide run. Instead, humanity hit them everywhere at once. 17 simultaneous attacks on the 17 most powerful Council species. Captain Taeyong Baek led the Ghost Battalion, humanity's elite special forces. His soldiers were enhanced with genetic improvements and cybernetic upgrades. They could see in the dark. They could survive in vacuum. They could fight for days without rest. Taeyong's mission was to infiltrate the Council headquarters. While the fleets fought in space, he and his 100 soldiers slipped inside the massive station. They moved through shadows, killed guards silently, hacked into restricted databases. What they found made Taeyong sick. Commander, one of his soldiers whispered, "You need to see this." The database showed records going back 50,000 years. 23 species had been removed for refusing Council terms. 23. Complete genocides. Trillions of beings dead because they wouldn't surrender their freedom. Copy everything, Taeyong ordered. Every file. Every record. The galaxy needs to see what these things really are. While his team worked, 3 Council species defected. The Kaleen, a peaceful species of aquatic beings, sent a message to Earth. We never agreed to the execution. We voted against it. Many of us disagree with the Council's methods. Please don't attack our worlds. President Jiwoo read their message. She was exhausted, having not slept in 7 days. Around her, the command center buzzed with activity. Reports came in constantly: victories, enemy surrenders, casualty counts. Add the Kaleen to the protected list, Jiwoo ordered, and any other species who opposed the execution. We have the voting records. We know who wanted peace. Admiral Minho appeared on her screen from his flagship. Madam President, we're ready to deploy the Stellar Scythe. Jiwoo felt her stomach turn. The Stellar Scythe, Dr. Yoonji's most terrible creation, a weapon that could trigger a star to go supernova. It would destroy everything in the system, every planet, every ship, every living thing. Is it necessary? Jiwoo asked. The Valthrex have a hidden fleet in the Orion system, Minho said. 5,000 ships. If we attack conventionally, we'll take casualties. The Scythe will end it instantly. How many civilians in that system? None, Madam President. It's purely military. The Valthrex moved everyone out years ago. Jiwoo thought about Doyen, about his final words, about humanity not becoming the monsters. But she also thought about the 23 dead species, about the execution broadcast across the galaxy, about the message that needed to be sent. Do it, she said. But make sure the galaxy knows why. Tell them we're destroying a military target, not civilians. Tell them this is justice, not murder. In the Orion system, the Valthrex hidden fleet felt safe. Their secret base was deep in space, far from any trade routes. No one could find them here. Then a small human ship appeared. It was alone, unarmed. The Valthrex laughed and prepared to destroy it. The ship released a single missile. It flew past their defenses easily. They didn't even try to stop it. One missile couldn't hurt them. The missile entered the system's sun. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sun flickered, grew brighter, brighter. The Valthrex realized what was happening too late. The sun exploded. The shockwave consumed the fleet in seconds. 5,000 ships turned to atoms. The explosion was visible from 3 galaxies away. A new star briefly appeared in the sky, brighter than anything else, and every species in the galaxy understood. Humanity could destroy suns. Humanity could erase entire systems. And they would if pushed. Lieutenant Somin Han returned to Earth as a hero. Her testimony and recordings were broadcast everywhere. The galaxy saw the truth, saw the execution, saw the cruelty, saw the injustice. Public opinion began to shift. Some species questioned the Council. Some quietly contacted Earth offering information. 200 Council worlds burned. Not their civilians, just their military power. Humanity was surgical, precise, and absolutely ruthless. They destroyed everything that could fight, but left the people alive. It was a message. Submit and live. Fight and die. President Jiwoo addressed humanity and the galaxy. We didn't want this war. We came in peace. We offered friendship. You responded with murder. Now you learn the price of that mistake. We will not stop until every species who supported the execution pays for their crime. We will not stop until the council is dissolved. We will not stop until there is justice for Captain Doyen Kim and his delegation. She paused, looking directly into the camera. You taught us that the galaxy respects only strength. Fine, now see our strength. Now see what happens when you wake the sleeping giant. Now see what humanity can do when you take everything from us. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, species made their choice. Join humanity or face destruction. Most chose survival. The Council's response came 3 weeks into the war. They called it the Silence Array. Ancient satellites hidden throughout the galaxy, built by a civilization long dead. The Council had kept them secret for thousands of years. A final weapon for emergencies. Now they activated them. The first human colony to die was New Sol, a settlement of 5 million on the edge of human space. The people were sleeping when the satellites targeted their sun. The sun didn't explode. It just went out, turned off like a light switch. The temperature dropped to absolute zero in minutes. Everyone froze. The planet became a ball of ice, silent and dead. The second colony was New Busan. Same result. The sun died. The people froze. The third was New Daegu. President Jiwoo watched in horror as the reports came in. 4.7 billion dead. 3 colonies gone. And Earth itself was next. The satellites were moving into position around humanity's home sun. How long until they can fire? She asked. 6 hours, said Dr. Kyung-min. Oh, the astrophysicist. He looked terrified. Once they're in position, we have minutes. Maybe less, and can we destroy them? They're shielded. Our weapons can't touch them. We need to find the control center. Shut down the entire network. Commander Yuna Song worked frantically at her station. She was humanity's best intelligence officer, the person who had cracked every council encryption. But this was different. The satellites used technology from a dead civilization. Their code was like nothing she had ever seen. I'm trying, Yuna said, her fingers flying over the controls. But this system is ancient. It's not responding to anything I do. Admiral Minho Choi had moved his fleet between Earth and the satellites. His ships surrounded the planet, ready to intercept anything. But he knew it was useless. If those satellites fired, Earth would die. I'm not going to watch my home freeze, Minho said. If we can't stop them remotely, I'll do it manually. Prepare for ramming speed. Sir, the shields will destroy your ship before you get close, his tactical officer said. Then I'll die trying, Minho replied. It's better than waiting. President Jiwoo heard this over the command channel. Admiral, wait. We need you. With respect, Madam President, you need Earth more than you need me. I'm 60 years old. I've lived my life. If my death saves 8 billion people, that's a trade I'll make. Before Jiwoo could respond, Minho ordered his ship forward. The ESS Vengeance accelerated toward the nearest satellite. The shields activated, tearing at his ship's hull. Alarms screamed. His crew held on as the ship shook apart around them. All power to forward shields. Minho commanded, Don't stop. The ship punched through. For one beautiful moment, Minho saw Earth below him, blue and perfect. Then his ship hit the satellite. The explosion was massive. The satellite's power core overloaded, destroying 3 others nearby, but there were dozens more. And Minho was gone. Jiwoo watched the sacrifice and felt something break inside her. How many good people would die before this ended? How many heroes would give their lives? She thought about Do-yoon, about Minho, about all the soldiers fighting across the galaxy. Commander Yuna, Jiwoo said quietly, whatever you need, whatever resources. You get them. Stop those satellites. Yuna worked for 3 more hours. She tried everything. Every code. Every hack. Nothing worked. The satellites continued moving into position. Earth had 2 hours left. Then Yuna saw something. A single line of code repeating. It looked random. But there was a pattern. She had seen this before years ago in her studies of ancient mathematics. It's a lock, she said suddenly. The whole system is locked behind a mathematical puzzle. Solve the puzzle, gain control. Can you solve it? Jiwoo asked. I don't know, Yuna said honestly. But I'm going to try. She worked faster than she had ever worked. Dr. Kyung-min helped, feeding her astronomical data. The puzzle was based on stellar positions from 50,000 years ago. Someone had to calculate where every star in the galaxy had been. Then input that data in the correct sequence. 1 hour left. Yuna's fingers bled from typing. Her eyes burned. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. 8 billion lives depended on her. 30 minutes left. I've got it, Kyungmin said. The final sequence. Input these coordinates. Yuna entered them. The system processed. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the satellites stopped moving. Their shields dropped. The targeting systems deactivated. Yuna had done it. Earth's defense fleet destroyed the remaining satellites quickly. The silence array was gone. Humanity had survived. But the cost was terrible. 3 colonies dead, 4.7 billion people, and Admiral Minho Choi, who had given everything for his home. President Jiwoo addressed the fleet. Her voice was tired but firm. Admiral Choi bought us time with his life. He showed us that no sacrifice is too great to protect what we love. We will honor him. We will honor all the fallen, and we will finish this war. But there was a discovery that changed everything. Commander Yuna, diving deeper into the satellite systems, found something impossible. The satellites weren't built by the Council. They had stolen them from a dead civilization called the Architects. The same civilization that had built the Council's headquarters. The same civilization that had created most of their advanced technology. The Council didn't build any of this, Yuna reported. They found it. They've been using stolen technology for millennia. Everything they have, everything they threaten us with, they didn't create. They inherited it. Dr. Kyungmin studied the data, and they've let it stagnate. Look at these systems. They're 50,000 years old and barely maintained. The Council has been coasting on ancient technology while doing nothing to advance it. It was the truth that broke the galaxy's faith in the Council. When humanity broadcast this information, when they showed that the great and powerful Council were just scavengers living in a dead civilization's house, everything changed. Hundreds of Council species began to surrender. They saw the truth. The Council wasn't powerful. They were just old. And old wasn't the same as strong. The Valthrex Imperium refused to surrender. They retreated to their last stronghold, the Triangulum Nexus, a massive fortress in the Triangulum Galaxy. Velcros himself commanded the defense. He had gathered 5,000 ships, the remains of the Valthrex military, and prepared for a final stand. Fleet Commander Junho led the assault. 10,000 human ships against 5,000 Valthrex. But Junho knew something the Valthrex didn't. He knew their secret. Captain Taeyong's Ghost Battalion had found it in the Council records. The Valthrex weren't a species. They were clones. Every Valthrex was a copy of the same individual. Velcros. The original Velcros had cloned himself millions of times over thousands of years. The entire Valthrex civilization was one being, repeated endlessly, and that was their weakness. All Valthrex think the same because they are the same, Junho explained to his commanders. Same tactics, same strategies, same responses. We can predict everything they'll do. The Battle of Triangulum Nexus was the largest space battle in galactic history. 10,000 human ships attacked in waves. The Valthrex defended with perfect coordination, but Junho had studied them. He knew their patterns. He led them into traps, made them overextend, exploited their predictability. The battle raged for 2 days. Space filled with debris and light. Ships exploded like fireworks. Both sides took heavy casualties. But humanity was winning. Captain Taeyong led his battalion onto the fortress itself. They fought through corridors filled with Valthrex soldiers. All of them looked identical. All of them fought the same way. Taeyong's enhanced soldiers moved through them like ghosts, striking from shadows, disappearing before the Valthrex could respond. Finally, Taeyong reached the command center. Velcro stood there alone, waiting. In his 4 hands, he held ancient weapons. His black eyes showed no fear. Human, Velcro said. You have come to kill me. I've come to end this, Taeyong replied. He drew Doyen's personal blade, recovered from the council chamber. It was just a ceremonial knife, but it meant everything. They fought. Velcros was 3,000 years old, a master of combat. But Taeyong was enhanced, faster and stronger than any normal human. The battle was brief and brutal. In the end, Taeyong drove Doyen's blade into Velcros' heart. For Captain Kim, Taeyong said quietly. Velcros fell, and across the fortress something strange happened. Every Valthrex stopped fighting. They stood still, confused, lost. Without the original, the clones had no direction. No purpose. The Valthrek civilization collapsed in minutes. The battle ended. Humanity had won. 400 council worlds had burned. 447 had surrendered. Only one world remained defiant. The council headquarters itself. President Jiwoo stood before her advisors. She looked older than her years. The war had aged her, but her eyes were clear. "We can destroy them," she said. "The Stellar Scythe can end this today. Or we can offer mercy. Let them surrender. Let them live. They deserve to die," someone said. After everything they've done, Jiwoo thought about Doyen's last words. About not becoming the monsters. About humanity being better. "What would Captain Kim want us to do?" she asked. The council headquarters station still orbited the neutron star, but now it was surrounded by human ships. The remaining council members huddled inside, waiting for the end. They had seen what humanity did to those who resisted. They expected fire from the sky. Instead, they received a transmission. President Jiwoo Kang appeared on every screen. She looked tired but determined. Behind her stood Lieutenant Soman Han, promoted to commander after her bravery. And beside Soman stood a young man of 19, Doyen Kim's son, wearing his father's uniform. "Members of the Galactic Council," Jiwoo began. "3 months ago you murdered our envoy. You killed 47 innocent people. You broadcast their deaths across the galaxy as a warning. You wanted to show us our place in this universe." She paused. The council members watched in silence. "We could destroy you today," Jiwoo continued. "We have the weapons. We have the power. One word from me and your station becomes dust. But we won't do that." "Do you know why?" No one answered. "Because Captain Doyen Kim came to you in peace. He believed in diplomacy. He believed that different species could work together. He died for that belief, and we will honor his memory by being better than you. We will show the galaxy what real strength looks like, not the strength to kill, but the strength to show mercy." A small alien on the council, one of the Kylene who had defected, stood up. "What are your terms?" "The old council is dissolved," Jiwoo said firmly. "Its laws are void. Its authority is ended. In its place, we will create something new. The Galactic Assembly. Every species gets an equal vote. No more ruling class. No more executions. No more genocide." "And who leads this assembly?" asked the alien. "Humanity. For 100 years. Not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers. We will ensure the new system works fairly. After 100 years, you choose your own leaders." Another alien stood. This one looked scared. "And what of the species who voted for the execution? What happens to us?" "You will face trial," Jiwoo said. "War crimes tribunals. Those who gave the orders, those who carried them out. They will be judged. But your people will be spared. We don't punish entire species for the crimes of their leaders. That would make us just like the old council." Young Doyen Kim stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his hands shook. "My father wanted peace. He died trying to build bridges between our people. I'm here to finish his work. We're offering you a choice. Surrender now, accept the new order and live. Or fight and die. It's that simple." The council members looked at each other. Some were angry. Some were relieved. But all of them were afraid. They had seen what humanity could do. They had watched worlds burn. They knew they had no chance. The Kylene representative spoke for them all. "We surrender. We accept your terms." Lieutenant Somin led the occupation force onto the station. Human soldiers secured every level. Council members were arrested peacefully. No violence. No revenge. It was controlled and professional. This was humanity at its best. Council Representative Sujin Huang, a diplomat who had spent years studying alien cultures, was appointed as humanity's voice in the new government. She was young, only 36, but she was brilliant and fair. She understood that peace required more than just military power. "We're not here to rule you," Sujin told the gathered species. "We're here to help you rule yourselves, fairly, justly, without fear." The trials began. High-ranking council members who had ordered the execution faced justice. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy. Every species could watch. Humanity made sure everything was transparent and fair. They hired judges from neutral species. They allowed defense attorneys. They followed the law. Some council members were sentenced to prison. Others to exile. A few, like the insect alien who had called humans children playing with toys, were executed for their role in genocide of the 23 extinct species. But these were individuals, not entire civilizations. The galaxy watched and learned. This was justice, not revenge. Dr. Yoonji Shin, the weapons developer, surprised everyone by becoming the leading voice for peace. "I built weapons to protect us," she said in an interview. "But I never wanted to use them. Now that the war's over, I want to build things that help people, not hurt them." She began sharing human technology freely, medical advances that could cure diseases, agricultural methods that could end hunger, energy systems that were clean and infinite. Humanity gave it all away, asking for nothing in return. "Knowledge should be free," Yoonji said. "We're stronger together." Fleet Commander Junho Nam became the first Supreme Commander of Galactic Forces. He organized the new military, combining the best soldiers from every species. They trained together, learned from each other, became something new. "We're not occupiers," Junho told his troops. "We're peacekeepers. Our job is to protect everyone, not just humanity. Remember that." At the site of the execution, a memorial was built, a massive statue of Captain Doyon Kim, standing tall with his hand extended in friendship. On the base were the names of all 47 delegation members who died. The memorial became a holy place. People from every species visited to pay respects. Young Doyon visited often. He would stand before his father's statue and talk to it quietly. "I'm trying, Dad, I'm trying to finish what you started." He joined the diplomatic corps, worked to build relationships between species. He was good at it. People trusted him because of his name, but he earned their respect through his actions. Sujin created the Doyon Accords, a set of laws protecting diplomats. Never again could envoys be harmed. Never again could representatives be executed. Any species that broke these laws would be expelled from the assembly and sanctioned. The galaxy agreed unanimously. 5 years after the war, Earth held a memorial service. President Jiwoo, now retired, attended with other survivors. Admiral Minho's name was carved in marble alongside Doyun's. All the fallen heroes were remembered. "They gave everything," Jiwoo said in her speech. "They showed us what humanity could be at its best. Now it's our job to honor them by being the species they believed we could become." 10 years after the war, the first mixed species colony was established. Humans, Kaleen, and 3 other species living together. It was called New Hope. Young Doyon cut the ribbon at the opening ceremony. "My father dreamed of this," he said. "Different species working together, building something beautiful. He died for this dream. Today we make it real." 20 years after the war, Commander Somin Han retired. She had become a hero to billions. Songs were written about her escape and her testimony. Children dressed as her for holidays. But she remained humble. "I just did what anyone would do," she said in her final interview. "I survived. I told the truth. The real heroes are the ones who didn't come home." 50 years after the war, the Galactic Assembly thrived. Over 800 species working together. Disputes were settled through votes, not violence. Technology advanced rapidly as knowledge was shared freely. The galaxy entered a golden age. Young Doyon, now not so young at 69, became the Assembly's first elected president. The vote was unanimous. Every species trusted him. "I accept this responsibility," he said in his acceptance speech. "But I do so knowing I stand on the shoulders of giants. My father, Admiral Choi, Lieutenant Somin, all those who gave their lives for peace. I will honor them every day I serve." 75 years after the war, President Jiwoo Kang died peacefully at age 126. Medical advances had extended human lifespans significantly. She had lived to see her dreams realized. The whole galaxy mourned. At her funeral, leaders from every species attended. Doyon the Younger gave the eulogy. She could have chosen revenge. She could have burned the galaxy. Instead, she chose justice. She chose to build rather than destroy. We are all alive today because of her wisdom. 100 years after the war, as agreed, humanity stepped down from leadership. The Assembly voted for new leaders. The transition was peaceful. Humanity had kept their promise. Elder Doyon, now 96, attended the ceremony. He watched as the first non-human president was sworn in. A Kylene named Sailor, wise and gentle. "Will you stay in government?" Sailor asked Doyon privately. "No," Doyon said. "My work is done. I'm going home." "You've earned your rest," Sailor said. "Thank you." "For everything." Doyon smiled. "Thank my father. He's the one who started this. I just finished it." He returned to Earth, to the memorial where his father's statue stood. He was old now, his hair white, his body tired, but his mind was clear. He looked up at the statue. "We did it, Dad," he said quietly. "We built the galaxy you dreamed of. Different species working together. No more council, no more executions, just peace." The statue stood silent, eternal, watching over the galaxy it had changed through sacrifice. A young couple walked past, holding hands. One was human. One was Valthrex, the new generation of Valthrex, grown from diverse genetic sources rather than cloned from Velcros. They had become a real species with individuals who thought differently, who chose their own paths. Doyen watched them walk away together. He smiled. This was what his father had died for. Not revenge, not destruction, but this: hope, unity. A future where yesterday's enemies became today's friends. He closed his eyes and whispered one last thing to his father's statue. "You were right, Dad. Mercy was the strongest choice. Look at what we built together."